So I think the first question that's important to answer is why to get involved in the parliamentary process, and specifically why to appear before a parliamentary committee or to do a brief. Well, the answer is you have very relevant and important information, expertise, and experience. Parliamentaries need that experience when legislating. They want to know how their laws impact people on the ground, and women in particular. With your experience, you have this expertise that they need to hear about. It's important. And we all know that women are underrepresented in Parliament, so your voice is very important. So they need you as much as you need them. And finally, you have the power to change laws. This is proactive. It's much easier to influence a law and to give it a feminist spin from the beginning than to challenge it in court later on. So I strongly encourage you to get involved, be proactive about dreaming of feminist legislation and having it implemented. So what is a brief to be submitted to a parliamentary committee? Well, it's a written version of an opinion, a recommendation, or perspective that is supported by facts and evidence. And as feminists, we're really fortunate because all of our positions are evidence-based and supported in facts. So it's our feminist perspective of an issue that is supported by the research that we have done. Who could submit a brief to a parliamentary committee? Well, really anyone. Usually the people who submit are the people who appear before the parliamentary committees, but you don't have to appear to write a brief. Anyone can. So you can be in any part of the country and you can write what your opinion is on a given topic that's being studied by a parliamentary committee or a bill that's being proposed. So this is really your chance to influence policy. So what do you put in a parliamentary brief? Well, you need to clearly state your position in a way that is accessible and supported by fact. So usually the document is about 10 pages, no longer, but check the rules of the committee. Sometimes there are specific rules that apply specifically to a committee. Secondly, start off by explaining who you are or the organization you're representing. This is your chance to brag about yourself. You need to establish credibility, and women tend to be modest. So this is the chance to pull out your resume and to talk about all the great things that you've done or your organization has done. Talk about the experience you have on the ground. This is what's going to give you credibility and to give the parliamentarians the message that they absolutely need to listen to you. Once you've established your credibility, you need to move on to clearly state your point of view. So brag about yourself, talk about the experience you have on the ground, and what unique perspective you have to contribute. Try to convince them that they need to listen to you. Then move on to explaining your position. Do it very clearly. Have mostly no more than 3 points, but maybe 1 or 2 specific points that you want to make. Be clear, concise, and short. You really need to make sure that you get their attention and that your brief is written in an accessible way. Finally, footnotes. This is the gem. This is your way of talking to the person who's going to be reviewing the briefs and the researchers who are going to be reviewing and summarizing all of the material that was put before the committee. So this is where you show that your research and that your opinion is credible and well researched. So don't shy away from footnotes. Make sure that they're well cited and that the resources you cite are very easy to find. But this is your way of talking to the researcher and to make it known that your position is rooted in evidence, which is very important. I'd like to address feminist law students in particular and to encourage you in particular to get involved because you have unique, useful skills that can be extremely helpful to parliamentarians, but also feminist organizations who don't necessarily have someone with a legal background who works with them. So why get involved? Well, selfishly, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot about the legislative process. You'll learn to draft legal arguments. It's very useful for feminist organizations who don't have a lawyer working with them or a lawyer as an ally to present their recommendations with a legal twist or through a legal lens. Their legislations or the recommendations, for example, could be grounded in Section 15 of the Charter. You can help them make that tie, and it makes the recommendations all the more compelling for parliamentarians. Appearing before a parliamentary committee also, it's something that law students can do. It's not giving legal advice. So you can present, and these are great skills to have, for example, for when you will be representing clients before administrative tribunals or courts. It's good practice for oral advocacy, and I encourage you to get up on your feet and try. Finally, this is your chance to change the legislative process and to influence it and to make sure that your voice is heard. So I really encourage you to get involved, and I look forward to seeing you on the Hill.